Now who wanna move close enough? Now who wanna move out on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em, yeah we got 'em, yeah we fought 'em. Like that black and orange or bottle, single bottle, never stop it. To the beast and know 'em. Who they rockin' with the diamond stripes, flossing on the ring. Cincinnati, she's our queen, we gon' show the world.
What's up, everybody? This is Ted Karras of the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cincy Hat, and you're watching Bengals and Brews.
And Stripes is back. Stripes is back.
There it is.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So
That's what the people come to the pod for right there, the intro, and then they're like, I'm out.
yeah. Just watch the intro and nothing else. But yeah, we're going to be talking some wide receivers today. Should be interesting. We're going to give our top 10s. If there's time at the end, obviously we'll mention as many names as possible. This is a very fluid position always. There's guys that can come out of nowhere and have a big season and end up as first, second, third rounders. It happens every single year. But I try to make my list kind of on guys who have proven themselves to an extent at this point and go from there. We got a lot of similar guys, but some differences. And we'll just kick it off right off the rip with Newt's wide receiver 10. And I'll let you talk about J. Michael Sturdivant, who is transferring to Florida this season. Was it UCLA?
So 2 seasons at Cal, and then 2 seasons at UCLA, and now his 5th season at Florida. I think he had a redshirt season in there. But yeah, he's coming back. I know this is now the 3rd cycle that I've heard his name come up in, and it's like, man, Sturdivant is just he's still sticking around. Just like, talking about it, is he in your top 10?
He is not. He's pretty far down my list, and it's mainly because last season was just not it, and that's not all on him.
So, like, with Sturdivant, the highs are so high and the lows are so low. There was 4 games he had no catches, and like it's hard to back that up and for me to say like, hey, I think he's a top 10 guy. But man, like, and anyone out there listening, throw on the USC film. Just like watch Sturdivant against USC, and you'll see why. Like, I'm just kind of still holding on hope because he's just so good in that game, and he has shown it also against Minnesota. Like, he can show out. He can be a big time receiver, but it's just got to be more consistent. With him, just kind of reading through my things. I think he's really good in contested catch situations. It's a big thing for me. He's dead at 50% for that. Part of the problem, however, and this is something that I kind of like, I track myself. I'm not privy to the PFF like separation scores and everything, but I actually started tracking contested catch targets. So like, how often are they getting targeted when they're like not separating? And his was like 30%. So like 3 out of 10 targets that he has, he's not separating, which is really not a good mark you want to be around. You almost want to be like half of that. So he's feasting in those situations, but he's also like living in those situations, which you really don't like to see. But with that, he's a national hands catcher. I think he has great deep ball tracking. And he's a plus blocker. And I think that matters. Maybe not as much as everything else, but it definitely shows some character things. But like I said, the inconsistency is going to be the story of his, build up to this year. Can he put it together for a full season? It's got to come a lot better than it already has. But if he does what he has shown he can do on a more consistent basis, and now that he's with Florida, he really has no excuses. Like, you might point to Cal and say, hey, they were a hot mess last year. All right, well, now you're at Florida. Now you're with the big boys. You got to get things done. So that's kind of why he comes in number 10 for me. He will absolutely not be at this spot at the end of the season. I can guarantee that. He'll either be like number 30 or like a top 5, because I think it's going to be like all or nothing for him.
Yeah, he's got the traits, the size, the speed, ratio, all that stuff that you like. Just got to put it all together. DJ Lagway, they got a pretty good line. If we do line next week, or if we get to line, because if we do another one, it'll probably be tight ends next week. Tight ends are going to be fun to talk about.
Hell yeah, tight ends are awesome.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after the show and see kind of what our schedules are, if we can roll out another couple of these before the summer ends for you guys, because I love doing this stuff. I'll get my number 10. I don't think he's on your list. Did you watch Elijah Surratt from Indiana?
No, there's like 4 guys I have highlighted to watch still that are like big names, and Surratt's one of them.
Yeah, so he comes in at 10 for me. A lot to like. Follow Coach Cignetti to Indiana from James Madison. 6'2", 209, so he's got the prototype size you want for an outside receiver. He's not going to go in the slot a lot. James Madison, he had 1,191 yards and 8 touchdowns. Moves up in competition to Indiana, puts up 957 yards and 8 touchdowns. So pretty damn consistent moving up in competition. He was even at like a JUCO or somewhere his first year. So he's bounced around. This will be the first time he's at the same school 2 years in a row. Now, third year with Coach Cignetti and all that, but he'll have a different quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, who, we talked about in our quarterback episode. So I think he's going to have plenty of opportunities to really show out again this season. He's got great size. Another guy with good contested catch ability and almost too many. Like he does live in that too. He had 27 opportunities. He was 16 for 27, 59.3%. So he's almost 60% in those, which you love to see, but you got to create more separation. Reliable hand.
He's 32% for that contested target percentage.
Yeah. And he's got pretty reliable hands, 7% drop rate, constantly moves the chains. I think that's one of the biggest things. 43 of his 53 catches went for either a first down or a touchdown. You love that with wide receivers. So a guy who's going to constantly move the chains. He's not overly explosive. He's not the most athletic, probably not going to create tons of separation. Those are the downfall. And it may limit his ceiling. He doesn't create tons of missed tackles. He's not overly elusive after the catch, but just a good, solid, reliable option as a big body on the outside. So I've got him at 10, and we'll see what he can do with Fernando Mendoza this season. I think he's in for another big year for Indiana, and Indiana could have another big season and be in contention for the playoffs. Wouldn't surprise me at all. So we'll move on to your number 9, a guy who's also on my list, and that is Zachariah Branch, transferring to Georgia from USC. Tell me about your thoughts on Branch.
So Branch is going to be pretty much – I have him as like maybe a potential Z. He's definitely going to be a player that could, live and exist behind the line. But realistically, he's probably a slot-only type player, and it just comes down to the size. He's 5'11". He's 175 pounds, though. So that light frame is kind of going to be – what makes it challenging for him to live in potential press situations. So you want to get him off the line and get him where he can exist in a short to intermediate environment. I think that's really where he shines. And we'll talk about another player later on, was one half of the punt return team for USC. And you see it when he's got the ball in his hands. He's really, really good. He's electric. And he's the kind of player where if you can get a bubble screen, if you can get quick end rounds, things of that nature, he can do some damage with that. And I think kind of all those things really come with it. That he's just like, he lives in that short intermediate. You want to get the ball in his hands quickly and let him do more of the damage with his legs. Just because like he's not going to traditionally live on the outside. He's a smaller player. He doesn't attack the ball in the air. His contested catch percentage was 20%. He's just not the kind of guy that you want to have, make the catch in traffic. You want to let him get the ball and go from there. So I like him. I think I almost like the fact that he's a little bit more gadgety and he brings a lot of things to the table. Not like we talked about with a Malachi Corley type, but I do kind of get some shades of that where it's more get the ball in his hand, not let him feast as a true receiver. So I think just that and the punt return ability really creates an interesting prospect to me and one that's going to be very niche specifically. So Zachariah Branch, number 9 for me. A player that I think is kind of living in this area for a lot of people that, 8 to 15 range. I've seen him on a lot of lists.
He's my number 8, spoiler alert.
Okay.
So, and you said most of the things that I agree with. I'll touch on them a minute when I get there. But I want to get this from Dustin Croft. is it me or has the wide receiver position kind of fallen off the last 2 years? Obviously, Jeremiah Smith in that class, which won't be this coming season. That'll be 2027. Ryan Williams, all those guys. And maybe some of these guys we're talking about won't be till 2027 as well, depending how their seasons go. But I kind of cut out there for a minute.
I can hear you now.
Went black. All right.
Good.
That worried me. Who knows, man? With this internet, you never know. Like, it shows I have a great connection, but StreamYard always tells me I have a terrible connection. But my computer tells me I have a fantastic connection. So hopefully I don't cut out and leave Newt solo for a while on here. That would be.
I'll say you're gonna have me telling jokes, and the whole pod's just gonna go down from there.
But I would agree though. The last 2 years at wide receiver, and this one included, doesn't feel like there's tons of like, oh, can't miss. Jamar Chase's, Justin Jefferson's of the world out there. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, don't forget about, like, before that Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors class. Yeah. It was JSN, Flowers, Jordan Addison. Those were the guys that came from that class, and like that wasn't that great of a class. And like obviously, I think those guys have kind of shown out. Quentin Johnston still hasn't. He was a first-round pick there. I think that last year's class was better than that. I think that this year's class has the potential to be better than that. I think that this year's class, the thing about it that strikes me, it is so thick in the middle. Like when you get between picks, I don't know, let's just say 33 and 100, I think you're going to get a lot of really good wide receivers. Where I think last year, once you got past pick 40, I think there was a little bit of a void, and it became a little bit more like, what are you comfortable with? So I think it was a little heavier at the top. Still not like, obviously 2 years ago, that class was ridiculous. And, we talk about it all the time. Last year had a stupid good running back class. 2 years ago had a stupid good wide receiver class. And it's just like you get those bubbles every year. Next year, we're going to be talking about, I can guarantee, the wide receiver class with Smith. And it's just going to be like, it's going to be ridiculous. I mean, if it's just those two names at the top, you're going to be like, wow, this is a heck of a class. So I think, it ebbs and flows. I don't think this is as bad as we've seen in the last 10 years. I think it's kind of a middle of the road class.
Yeah. And I don't think, the one that we just had and this one we're talking about today, I don't think they're bad classes. They've got good players, but and to Dustin's point, I don't think they've got like the elite guys, the Malik Neighbors.
They don't have a dude,
Yeah, because I feel that way. There's so many guys who can end as my number one. Most of the guys that we're going to talk about today, and some that are not even on this list, I could see being wide receiver one. I'll get to my 9 now, but I thought that was a good thing to bring up because I did feel that way about last year. There's not like – I really like Tet McMillan. They had good receivers, Luther Bird and Matthew Gold. I like those guys, Egbuka, but it's like how many of them are true number ones? I'm not sure. I think McMillan can be, but outside of him, not sure. Same thing with this class. I don't know how many will be true number ones as there's more a bunch of number 2 receivers or number 3 receivers in the NFL. So this is another guy. I don't think he'll be a number 1, but I really like Chris Bell Jr. from Louisville. I mean, this is a guy 6'2", 220 going into his true senior season. Obviously the size 6'2", 220, but he is a blazer. Like, when he gets the ball in his hands, he can house it at any point in time. He the way he runs, there's shades of Ted Ginn Jr. I'm not saying he's as fast as Ted Ginn Jr., but it's like his running style reminds me of Ted Ginn Jr. He is just super fun. 60% contested catch rate also, which you like to see. Played his best ball down the stretch of the season. I think he's trending upward. Top end speed, I think, is among the best in the class. He had 43 catches, 737 yards, 4 touchdowns last season. I think he's got a real legitimate shot to be a day 2 player. Bill Sparks, who will be on the show with me on Sunday. But there's not been a ton of talk about this guy, and I think he's being a little underrated right now. Big fan of Chris Bell Jr. Have you watched him yet?
He wasn't even on my list. I mean, I just typed him in right now to get his name down to make sure that I get eyes on him. So, I mean, it's always exciting when I get someone else added to the board. But no, I've not watched him yet or even heard a ton about him. So,
and he's one that I think when people watch him, then they're like, oh, there's a lot there to like. I think you'll see it right away. with Chris
Yeah,
Bell
look,
when you
just
watch him.
looking at the numbers, I'm like, oh, this is kind of a fun, like preview of what this tape could look like. So
Yeah,
I'm
and
excited to know.
Miller Moss is now, I know they had Tyler Shucks, so it's like, well, Tyler Shucks gone. Well, they've got Miller Moss, and I like Miller Moss, some of his USC tape. I thought he was kind of the scapegoat for USC last year. So
yeah,
I'm excited to what that comes. And their running back is phenomenal. Brown, he's not even draft eligible, but he was incredible as a true freshman last year. So I think Louisville could be a fun team with Miller Moss, Chris Bell, the running back, all those guys. We will move to your wide receiver 8. A little farther down on my list, I kind of like Jaden Greathouse, the other Notre Dame, because Malachi Fields transferring to Notre
they got
Dame.
2 of them. Yep.
But a lot to like. Malachi Fields transferring from Virginia. Tell us about him.
So Malachi Fields, so I think he's a redshirt senior, number 1. He spent the entire time before this season at Virginia, and now he's transferring to Notre Dame, which I think is really, really good. Basically, he had 2 copy-paste seasons at Virginia over these last 2 years, over 800 yards receiving. He had good numbers in contested catch. Really low drop rate, like kind of the things that you want to see, but it was nothing that like stood out or wowed on film. There's some things with him that are really, really good. And there's some things that I think are going to create kind of a limited ceiling for him. Number 1's his size. He's contrary to who I have right before him with Branch. Fields is 6'4", 220 pounds. He's a grown man. And he plays like he's a grown man, and he knows he's a grown man. And he does really well contested catch situations, above 50% in those opportunities, something you love to see. His catch radius is exactly what you like to see. His hands, I think he plucks the ball out of the air. So he does the things right that he is kind of built for. You don't want a big guy that's just going to go up and like still be a body catcher. You want them to use that gift that they have. So like him being that big X contested catch player is and that's going to be his bread and butter. However, I think that athletically he is limited. He's not going to be a guy that is super shifty after the catch. He's okay, but he's not anything where I'm like, man, that guy, get him the ball in space and let him cook. He's a guy that, hey, we got to get a catch over the field, hit him on a crosser route, hit him on a fade on the sideline. I think that's going to be really where he shines. So just some athletic limitations, I think, come with his game. He's kind of hitting that athletic maturity where I don't know how much more he's going to grow as an athlete because, like I said, he's entering his 5th season of college ball. But ultimately, I think he's a pretty high floor player. He does really well with the gifts that he has, and that's kind of where he lands or why he lands in my top 10. Definitely towards the bottom of it, but I think he's going to ultimately be a safe player. Somebody you could put out there as like easily a wide receiver 3 and maybe even a wide receiver 2 across from a really electric and dynamic receiver. So that's Malachi Fields for me.
Size and physicality is the name of his game. I love how physical he is after the catch. Like you said, he's not overly elusive, but he can break tackles because he's just
he'll put a shoulder,
physical, strong. He'll run somebody over. So I like him. There's a lot of guys and he falls into that range where I'm like, man, mid-round type prospects, battle royale, pick your flavor. You want the size, you want the speedster, you want a lot of things. He's certainly in the mix, and he has a chance to really show out. I know they've got a new quarterback in C.J. Carr at Notre Dame, but I think Fields and Greathouse could really play off each other and produce really well for Notre Dame and help each other's draft stock. A guy you talked about, your wide receiver 9, my receiver 8 is Zachariah Branch. I'm not going to spend too much time on him. Was at USC, transferring to Georgia. The 175, can he hold up? 2 for 10 in contested catch situations last year. It's not good. He's more of a gadgety return man, things like that, get the ball in his hands, just like you talked about. I don't have a whole lot to add. Can he be durable? But he is electric. He's a playmaker. He's a guy who is shifty, whether it's reverses, screens, whatever. You just try to get the ball in his hands and let him make plays. Pretty much all the same stuff you said. So we'll move on to your receiver 7, which is a guy not on my list, but another guy just like Fields. And this is the fun part about it. because guys that maybe aren't in my top 10, but I really like them. They're right in that mid round. They're right in this, 10 to 6 range easily for a lot of people. And that's Makai Lemon from USC.
Yeah. So Makai Lemon, to me, he really feels like a slot only type player. He might be more than that. He's 5'11".
I agree.
190, but he just, I don't know, the way he plays his game, he feels very much like a slot type player. Most of his snaps that he took last year, 85% of them were out of the slot. So it kind of tells you a little bit about him. He is one of the million USC receivers it feels like we're talking about this draft cycle. He's staying at USC, however. So I think a couple things with him. I mentioned already, Zachariah Branch, punt return. Lemon is the other half of that. So he also had punt return ability. And I think with him, it really showed. And the reason I have him above Branch is I think they both do similar things with the ball in their hand. But I think Lemon is really more of a true receiver, where I see him actually being able to go out and run routes. I see him being able to do things that are more than just gadgety. He could serve as that true number 3, that slot type of receiver in an offense.
Absolutely.
And I'm not worried about him there. I don't have to cook up plays specifically for him. I said that he plays bigger than his size would indicate. He's solid in contested catch situations for being a smaller player. He was 46% in contested catch situations, which, if you're 5'11", 190, I'll take that all day from you. So I absolutely love to see that. I think he's a pretty good deep ball tracker, especially when he does get lined up outside. There's a couple instances where I thought he flashed really well there. And especially if he can just split some safeties from the slot and really do some damage there, I really like that opportunity for him to show out there. A couple things that why is he at 7 for me? I think ultimately he struggles with some separation, especially when he's jammed. That's why I think he's slot only. He just cannot get off the line if he's facing press. He doesn't have that top end speed, that true, hey, I'm going to take the top off of a defense. And he's a little bit on the smaller side. If you're 190 pounds, yeah, I know Travis Hunter was 190 pounds, but Travis Hunter was a freak athlete. And there's just some things that come with that you have to be able to, hold up in those. I think ultimately he's got a really good opportunity to play in the slot role and be a really effective slot receiver. I could see him honestly as a top 15 slot receiver, maybe in top 10 slot receiver in the NFL, just because I think he really has all the things that go into that aspect of the game to make him fairly effective. So that's why Malachi Lemon comes in here number 7 for me.
He's 15 for me, but he's right in that mix with everybody else. It's I could see this guy. I could see him being a day 2 because he is a really good slot receiver.
Yep.
Very reliable, tough over the middle. He is not scared to take a hit and hold on to the ball. I am a big fan of Makai Lemon. There's another USC receiver. Is he on your list? Jacoby Lane? Yeah.
He's not on my list, no,
okay.
but he's
on Bill. See, all right. So on Sunday with Bill, he'll be talking about him. I also don't have Jacoby Lane on my list. I got him as a 2027 guy currently, but that's a big dude. Could have a big season. So we'll at least mention him right now, but he is not in my top 10 either. The next guy is my wide receiver 7.
Do you have Deuce Robinson on your list?
Transferred to Florida State. He's farther down the list. Not the best athlete, but another USC guy. That's 4. That's 4. 2 of them transferred out, 2 of them stayed, but tons of those guys. Wide receiver 7 for me is Aaron Anderson from LSU. He's wide receiver 6, so it'll pivot right into that one. We love when that happens. But Mrs. Our Relevant podcast, we talked about LSU this past Monday. That was a really fun show. Everyone should check that out. But Anderson's a guy we talked about. I'm bullish on Nick Anderson. We'll get to him. Another LSU guy is on my list. But Aaron Anderson and my next guy, which I'll talk about in a minute, are 2 guys I think that could – I feel very safe that a lot of these guys could end up wide receiver 15, 20 going back. I feel pretty good that there's a good chance the 2 big surprises could be Aaron Anderson and the guy I got next on my list that have big seasons and push their way in the first round. Aaron Anderson's only 5'8". So 5'8".
Tiny.
He's tiny. He's smaller. I get it. but he's a brick shithouse. He's 188 pounds
Yep.
at 5'8". So I don't really have the durability concerns like I do. Like he's well, it's not like Zachariah Branch where I'm afraid he gets hit and he's out for half the season because at 175, 170, that scares the hell out of me. Aaron Anderson's not built that way. Excellent speed, another return man, so he can give you the return aspect, a good route runner, 884 yards, 5 touchdowns last season. He can play on the outside, but it's another guy who does his best work in the slot, plays mainly in the slot for LSU. At the next level, I think he is going to be a slot wide receiver, and he could be a top 10 slot wide receiver in the NFL. Like, I love everything about Aaron Anderson. I think he's the next, like, he could be. I know I have Nick Anderson higher, but I somehow feel more confident about Aaron Anderson than I do Nick Anderson. Like, I just love this guy. I love everything about him. He's got 2 years of eligibility left, but I do think with a big season, he's coming out because he has a redshirt junior, so it's his 4th season. Mm-hmm. And I think he could be a first-round pick. I love Aaron Anderson. He's your wide receiver 6. I'll pivot it right to you. What do you like about Aaron Anderson? Why is he your wide receiver? I talked about it. He should be my wide receiver 2 or 3 the way I was loving him.
I was saying you hit a lot of the things really well for him. I think that like just with his when you see him running routes, he is just so clean, crisp. He's an explosive athlete. He's got extremely sharp cuts, like in and out of his routes are just like it's what you want to see. And obviously, like he has the build for that. He's got a lower center of gravity. You know, it's kind of a little bit more in his wheelhouse, but he still does it. Like, you know, we talk about guys that are huge that suck at contested catches. We talk about guys that are small that just like aren't not that elusive. Like, you have to do it at the end of the day. And Aaron Anderson does it. He does it with great weight, which I'm so glad that you pointed out. And there's just like, hey, aside from him being 5'8", tell me something that he doesn't do. I really struggle to find that's something like a little bit higher of a drop rate. I'd like to see that get cleaned up. He's 5'8". That's about it. Like,
that's why I feel really good about him. It's like, you know, I've kind of, and he's not in the draft guide. Like, you got a draft guide for Project Game Day draft guide. I do. He's not in there. So I was late to him because I'm doing the misses are relevant and he's on that list of players and I watch him and I go, shit, I really like him. So I slot him in at like my receiver 7, but I'm literally like, because I don't want to be overly high on this guy being late.
He's good.
On him, but I'm like, I really like him. I just think if he comes out the first couple weeks and balls out, I'm going to be like, shit, top 50. He's trending top 50. He's French first round already. Like because I really did like his tape.
So let me piggyback off with this. So Ryan Wilson just posted to CBS Sports his way too early mock draft. Aaron Anderson, he's got in the first round for the mock. And I was like,
there we go.
Yes, this is awesome. Because I am here for the Aaron Anderson hype train. I really, really like him as a player.
Yeah, and I honestly, there was a part of me that almost switched him and Nick Anderson because where Nick Anderson was hurt last season, and there's just a lot more questions. I probably should have, honestly. I'm kind of kicking myself because as I talk about him, it just naturally comes out of like, I am higher on him than what I even have him on my list. And this is part of it when you're doing summer scouting. Like, I really like this guy, but he is 5'8". You know, you try to like, but I just like him. I can't help it. He's fun. He's a great prospect. And my other guy 100%. That I really like a lot should probably be higher than 6 on my list, honestly.
Yeah, he should.
I believe he's on your list.
He's on my list.
I really like Denzel Boston. Now, he is not 5'8". He is listed at 6'4". 209. And Washington has put out some really good receivers. I know Coach DeBoer left for Alabama, so it's like, it's not the same. But I think he was still recruited by Coach DeBoer. And obviously that guy knows receivers. There's been a ton of them go to the NFL lately. And other ones like Jeremy Bernard that followed him to Alabama. That'll be prospects for the NFL. But he's a good route runner, strong hands, ideal size. 12 of 22. So a lot of contested catches. So, okay, the separation. But I do think he's got a little more speed and a little more. He's a savvy runner that he can create separation. off of his savviness as a route runner. But 54.5% contested catch. You love to see that. Good body control, ball tracking, all the things you like to see for a wide receiver this guy has. He doesn't have the elite top end speed. He's not a burner. I believe he had an off-season surgery, so that's something to monitor and watch and make sure he's just good to go when the season starts. I always like to mention that. But had 830 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns last season. And I put surprising yards after the catch. Like, he does have some of that ability, even though he doesn't have great, like, straight line speed necessarily to be a top end burner. He's still elusive after the catch. There's a real opportunity for him to be in the running. And this is what I put in my notes for wide receiver 1. I really do think this guy could be wide receiver 1 when the 2026 draft takes place next April. He's wide receiver 6 right now. But he is up there with Aaron Anderson as number 1 in my heart. For the
as people will find out later, I'm not going to argue with you too much there. So I'll just leave it at that with Denzel Boston.
Yeah, just a tease. We'll let you talk about him a little later. But your wide receiver 5 is Eric Singleton Jr., who is transferring to Auburn after 2 seasons, I believe, at Georgia Tech. And he is my wide receiver 5, so another one that flows into each other.
Look at that.
Wide receiver 6, my wide receiver 5.
Oh, that's perfect. So, no, wait, your wide receiver 5 is my wide receiver 5, too.
Oh, yeah, he is 5. Sorry, I thought we were on 6 for you. My bad.
No.
Actually, this is one we have the same. We have
Look
wide receiver 5, Eric Singleton Jr. Both of them.
There we are. Awesome.
A rare, same ranking.
I love it. We've had a couple that have flowed, but this is the same. So Singleton, I think, like, set it up. This guy is like he's an athlete. He is fast as hell. He's a track runner. He is still kind of developing some things with football still, but man, like if we're just getting to the tip of the iceberg, we haven't really seen the whole thing yet. Holy shit, does this guy have a ton that he can offer? I think he's great as a move receiver. I loved how Georgia Tech used him in a ton of pre-snap looks. I believe he's going to Auburn this year, transferred from Georgia Tech to Auburn. Was wonderful in those kind of pre-snap motion type situations, end around screens, the things that you want. That kind of an athletic wide receiver to be able to build for you. I think he's got a really dense build. He's another 5'11" player. So, like, here's the thing. He's 5'11", 190. I think he's actually built really well. Like I said the same thing for Makai Lemon, Makai Lemon. I just think that they look like they're built a little bit different, where I think Singleton's weight, he just wears it a little bit better. And he's a little bit, like I said, more densely built. He's a yak.
I agree.
king.
You can just tell. You can tell. Like, you can tell the way a guy's just built different. Not every height and weight looks the same on a guy. He's
exactly
thick. He's rocked up a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's for sure. I love that.
Off.
No, like, that's perfect. Like, I would 100% agree with that. Our Singleton is rocked up. Steal the words right out of Dale's mouth. But with that, I think that, like, you're getting this really athletic receiver, one that has shown that he can do the things that you want. Still had a pretty decent contested catch percentage, 45%. Had 750 yards last year. 0.15 missed tackles forced per reception. Like, he's kind of doing those things. And he's doing it while he's still, like, in my opinion, really growing in the position still. So I think ultimately he's got to continue to become more of a receiver. He's got to get an expanded route tree. He's got to become a little bit more nuanced in his route running. He's got to become a little bit more technical with, like, becoming a hands catcher, just all of those sorts of things for me. I like this guy, though. I think he's got an extremely high athletic ceiling, and just like where he is right now and what he's done at Georgia Tech, just I like the kind of trajectory he's on.
I completely agree, and that's why he is also my wide receiver 5. You pretty much nailed everything, and I agree with it. He's got the speed. He's alignment versatile. He's a downfield threat. He's got the yards after catch ability. Can take screens and reverses. How else they like to get the ball in his hands. As a pure receiver, I also agree with the things you said. He's got to expand the route tree, and he's got to be able to beat press man coverage a little bit more.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think he's a fun prospect, and playing in the SEC, like, it's going to be fun to see. Does he continue producing? You know, he's been both seasons, I think, around 700 yards both seasons. If he can continue to do that, maybe uptick that, get up to 800-900 yards, I think he comes out. But he is a true junior, so if he wanted to, he could go back to school for a second season at Auburn, you know, and be a 2027 guy. But I like Singleton. I won't spend tons of time on him because I think you nailed it. Maybe a similar conversation because we both have the same guy at number 4.
You love it when it happens.
Antonio Williams. So back to back guys. Antonio Williams. Clemson had a big season, produced a lot. I will let you talk more about our guy, Antonio Williams from Clemson, both of our wide receiver 4s.
I was saying I got to go on about Singleton Jr. Do you want to talk first about Antonio Williams since we share him?
Yeah, sure. That'll work. So another guy, size. That's the thing. That's kind of, there's so many guys. You mentioned Mekhi Lemon, who wasn't on my list, but he's on yours. There's Singleton, and there's Antonio Williams. A bunch of guys in this 5'11", 191. I've got him at 195. So there's senior receiver. A lot of people thought he could come out last year. Great acceleration, lateral agility, 900 yards, 11 touchdowns. That was the production that I had that he put up. He's got to cut down on drops. So if there's one thing that I want to see improve, he had 8 of those in 2024. Cut down on the drops. That's something being new. I mean, it's kind of funny that we got him both at 4 because that is something that we look at as drops is a big thing. But he's just so damn talented. He can play on the outside. He can play. That's the thing. A lot of guys 5'11", you're like, he's probably going to be more of a slot guy. You know, I think even Singleton may be more of a slot guy ultimately. But you got your guys that can be 5'11", like Antonio Williams. You can put him in the slot, but I think he plays really well on the outside. So you can move him around. I think he's got tremendous chemistry already with Cade Klubnik. So I think that's the reason I kind of was like, I'm putting him in the top 5. I'm having him at 4. I don't see a big drop-off this season. He's got Klubnik again. Clemson is absolutely loaded. I think he has another big-ass season, and I think he's right on that fringe of like a first-round guy. Now, he did have an injury in 2023, I believe it was, where he only played 5 games that season. So as long as he can stay healthy, he stayed healthy last season, but if he can stay healthy again this season, I think Antonio Williams is going to be right in the mix for a first-round type of guy. And just a good, dependable weapon that can constantly find the end zone, find the soft spot in zones, do all the things that you want a receiver to do. So he's a good, solid prospect. I wouldn't say he's overly explosive or overly elusive, but he's got those traits too. He's got a little bit of everything.
I think the one thing that I would definitely add on, he had I actually liked his explosion off the line. So I thought that his release, I'm not necessarily in his route tree. I think he's a good separator. I don't think he's like an amazing separator. But I think he's good. He's definitely athletic. But man, his release off the line, he does not have a false step. He is just boom. That's why I think he could easily play like that Z type wide receiver role. Obviously the slot, he played a fair amount of snaps from there, 58% last year. But between that and like all of the pre-snap stuff that he could do, because like Singleton, he does have a lot of those opportunities to be, really dangerous athletic presence in, whatever system he is in Clemson this year. I'm hoping that they get an opportunity to use him within there. But yeah, Antonio Williams is a scary dude in terms of what he brings after returning from last year. First team All-ACC last year. Like, he is doing a ton of the things that you want to see him do as far as like those collegiate accolades. He's playing for, in my opinion, who's probably like, I don't know, the best team in college football preseason, at least the way I view it. So I think that, yeah, Antonio Williams has a lot of the things going that you really want to see for that like electric and dynamic receiver.
Yeah. Also, both of our receiver 4. So we both like him. Stay healthy. That's my biggest thing.
Yes. Yep.
Just stay healthy. Honestly, your wide receiver 3 is Jordan Tyson. So I need to know, why do you hate Jordan Tyson? So that tells you probably where I have him on my list. No, obviously being wide receiver 3, still think highly of him. And honestly, I talked about it earlier. There's so many guys that could end up as wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
I think Denzel Boston could end up as wide receiver 1. Aaron Anderson may not end up as wide receiver 1, but he's number 1 in my heart, as you guys heard me talk about him. But Jordan Tyson is number 1 on my list, and I'll talk more about him. But he is your wide receiver 3 from Arizona State. So why do you hate Jordan Tyson?
Why do I hate him? So I was talking. It was funny. I did the breakdown with Bill, and I said, because Bill doesn't have him as wide receiver 1 either. I won't ruin it for your Sunday episode for sure. Let's get a little teaser out there. But I was like, I said to Bill, I was like, I'm so glad you don't have Jordan Tyson as wide receiver 1, because literally everyone that sees my list are like, oh, this guy doesn't know ball because he didn't have Jordan Tyson wide receiver 1. Like, what the hell?
I had a hard time putting a wide receiver 1 when I did my list. I'll be 100% honest about that.
I think that my top, I don't know if I would, maybe I'd include Singleton in there. I think Antonio Williams up. I think, man, they are very, very, very close. So ultimately, there's a lot of things about each of these players that we're going to be talking about that is really, really good. So Jordan Tyson, I feel like I shouldn't start with him since I know you like him so much, but he's a gifted athlete, excellent short area burst, really reliable target, 75 catches in 2024. And he missed the postseason. Like, he missed the last game of the season and the postseason, which kind of like, oh man, if he was there, what was going to happen? I think he's got great long speed. He can threaten a defense on every level. And he has great start-stop ability. Just like the things that I don't like him. And we mentioned it already. He had 7 drops in 2024. Like, he's got to clean that up. Only a drop rate of 8.5%. So with that, you want to see that get cleaned up. He had 2 fumbles as well. And then after the catch, I just don't think like he is super dangerous. Like he had, so his missed tackles forced per reception, 0.09. It's okay. Like, but it just tells me you're really not doing a ton in space. I think he does a really good job of getting the ball in space. So I think that's, for him, like, he's a really good separator. When he makes the catch, he has a lot of space in front of him to be able to get 5, 6, 7 yards. But when he's asked to then go one-on-one with the defender, I don't think he's necessarily doing a ton to be like, all right, well, I'm going to make this guy move and then get another 5, 10 yards after that. I think he's just kind of okay in that respect. But I do like him. No, I don't think he's undraftable. Like, I want to like clear the air right now. I haven't put a big board together yet, but I would assume that he's going to be somewhere in that top 50 range for me. But apparently that's undraftable nowadays.
Yes, that's right. You have to get the jokes in when you can when you're doing this stuff. Obviously, I had literally Denzel Boston at 6 and said he could end up number 1. So you know what I mean? Yeah. You could have hammered me on that one. It's the same thing.
Like, if he cleans those drops up, honestly, God, I'd be like, yeah, like I see the vision for it.
Yeah, he's got a lot to like, and it's probably I think he's got a pretty safe floor for me, and I'll talk about that when I get to him.
I think he does for sure.
That's probably why I put him there, because I said I had a tough time being like, which is probably why this one's kind of just dumb. It's because I was so high on him going into last season. He missed the entire year, but my wide receiver 3 is Nick Anderson. Oklahoma, transferring to LSU, played just a handful of snaps, got injured, missed the rest of the season. There's really nothing to show there, but he's 6'4", 219. I love the size. I love the contested catch ability. He had 798 yards in 2023 with 10 touchdowns, 21 yards per catch that season. So, he's a good deep threat. I really like the 2023 tape. There's nothing on 2024 to go off of. I'm probably irrationally high on Nick Anderson, but I also am a guy who has Garrett Nussmeier as my quarterback 1. So having Nussmeier at quarterback 1, I think that's part of it. Probably why I love Aaron Anderson too, because I think these guys will get to show their talent and they'll continue building on what we've already seen from them. But he has to show he can stay healthy. And even though he's listed at 219, he looks a little thin. And there's times he plays a little upright. So I don't know that he's going to be a guy that forces a ton of missed tackles either when you've got that kind of frame, that kind of body type, that you're the way you're built. But I do like him a lot. Probably irrationally high on him at wide receiver 3. I will go ahead and admit it. But I just like the size. I like the traits. I love what I seen in 2023, when he was just a sophomore. So I really think, and obviously redshirted last year. So he's a redshirt junior. No guarantee he's in this class, but if he has a big season, I think he comes out. I think a lot of times guys that get injured and miss a season, they want to come out even more if they can come back and show they're healthy. They don't want to stick around. They want to go get their money, even though there is NIL now. Did you watch Nick Anderson? Any thoughts on him? Want to just tell me I'm a complete jackass for having this?
I've definitely heard, I've heard his name in top 10 conversations. I've never heard his name this high. But hey, I've got guys up there that, others would be like, nah, I don't see it. So he's another player that's highlighted for me. Hey, I've got to get eyes on him. And I just haven't yet. And I think part of it is the injury, and I wanted to get some high volume players under my belt first. I'm when I do my whip around, I'm probably going to do 5 players at each position again. Nick Anderson is definitely in that lineup of 5. So excited to get to him, especially after all the hype I've heard about him. And you're obviously, really, really selling him. And so I'm looking forward to it.
Selling him by saying I'm slowing my own hype train that I'm probably overranking him. That's how I sell him. But no, I do like the size. I do like that that he can go deep. He has a little bit for making guys miss, but it's not his strong.
I said there had to be something there that you're wide receiver 3. It had to be there. There had to be that pop. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, we both loved Aaron Anderson. And he didn't crack wide receiver 6 for us. And so great. Nick Anderson had to do something to wow you. So I'm excited for that part.
Yeah. There's just a lot to like with him. The contested catch rate actually wasn't as good. He's got the length, he's got the size, he's got to improve, the contested catch numbers, but I don't know that it was all on him. As our buddy Owen was saying on the show, the LSU show on Monday, he watched every one of those contested catches, and a lot of those was on Dylan Gabriel when he was at Oklahoma in 2023. So they weren't necessarily something awful. There's still something that he can do, when you actually watch the tape. So you're wide receiver 2, a guy I had at 6, but a guy I thought could end up wide receiver 1. That's Denzel Boston. What do you love about
just
Denzel Boston?
All of the disrespect in the world putting him in at 6.
I know. Slap in the face.
Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. You touched on so many of the things. I don't want to double down on them, but I think that just he delivers what you want in a big man. He is, as you said, 6'4", 209 pounds. I think he's maybe a little bit thin, but not overly concerning there. But I think he plays above his weight class for sure. I think that He does the things that I want to see. I talked about Fields. Hey, if you're a big guy, you got to play like a big guy. And I think Boston does, but he does, even just a little bit more. I don't think he's going to take the top off in terms of his ability to go down and burn a defense. I think he's got adequate long speed for a guy that's 6'4". I think that he has adequate ability with the ball in his hands, but I think those things are okay. I think that just he excels so well at the things that you want a big guy to do that I can't quit that. It's hey, these are the things that help a young quarterback, that help maybe a league average quarterback, when you can throw it up to a guy and he's going to come down with it, over 50% contested catch percentage. The other thing that I absolutely love about him is just the way he approaches the game. The first snap that I ever threw on for him was Washington versus USC. He's lined up out wide, and he comes all the way in on a run play. It was an off-tackle run, comes all the way and just cracks the safety probably lets the running back get 2 or 3 more yards. I think it was Woody Marks running, or no, it wasn't Woody Marks. Jonah Coleman running the ball, cracks the safety. And I'm like, I love this guy. Like, just if you are going to play with that kind of style, if you are going to be that kind of hard-nosed football player, you're my kind of guy. So probably a little bit of favoritism, like after seeing the tone set, but a guy that I absolutely love. Obviously, to the point that you made, could it see him become a wide receiver 1? Yes, absolutely. Easily. And I think that just size, adequate athleticism, adequate speed, but like, man, you put it all together in that package that he brings, you got a pretty good receiver in your hands.
Well, and I think for me, why I said like I could see him end up being number 1 on this list, I can see him being a wide receiver 1. And I talked about that a lot of these guys I think are wide receiver 2s or wide receiver 3s that are in our top 10, which is fine. You need those. Like T. Higgins is a wide receiver 2 technically. He's pretty damn good, as a
He's all right.
But yeah, he's okay. But yeah, there's a lot to like with Denzel Bolston. And I'm pretty sure last year was his first year to really be like a starter and really come on. I don't even know how much like when last year started, he was supposed to be the guy necessarily when it started, but he ended up being the guy. So I think there's a lot to like there as he gets more reps, more everything, and he's got the size. And like you said, the missed tackles, the speed, maybe it's not elite, but when you're 6'4", it doesn't have to be. If you know how to use your body, you got good body control, you know how to do all those things. So I loved how you phrased that. As he does all the things you want a big wide receiver to do really well. And that's why even though he was 6th on my list, I could see him being number 1, and he's number 2 on your list. And I love that he is, because he's a guy like Aaron Anderson. I'm going to keep bringing up Aaron Anderson. He was 7 on my list, but I love Aaron Anderson. And our guy, awesome. Anthony Russo here. Everyone check out Anthony Russo if you like draft content. Anthony's the man as well. But he says, great stuff, guys. Before we get into my number 2 and then Newt's number 1, which my number 2 happens to be Newt's number 1. But great stuff, guys.
I was gonna box you if it wasn't.
Not on my list. He's not on my list. He's not on my list. He's 27th now. But he says, great stuff, guys. Curious how you guys factor in quarterback play when evaluating wide receivers. How much do you project a receiver's upside when their production suffers from a quarterback who is inaccurate or lacks arm talent? I think you have to factor it in somewhat. With the portal error, with all this stuff where you can transfer, a lot of times it ends up not being as big a deal as maybe it used to be honest, because a lot of these guys – Kentucky guys, I'll use Kentucky as an example. So like Dane Key and Barian Brown, they're both a little lower on my list because I thought quarterback, was it Vandegrift for Kentucky last year? And I don't want to pile on the guy, but he sucked. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. He was trash. Dude, I would watch some of the Kentucky games. And I'm like, this guy freaking sucks. He is ass. Why? They have no one else that can toss in there. And Barian Brown, another guy transferring to LSU, I want to see. He's a little more of a gadgety player, return type guy. But Dane Key transferred to Nebraska, and he grew up bleeding, the white and blue for Kentucky. His dad played at Kentucky, stuff like that. And he transferred out. So I am curious to see, because I think Dane Key, a guy that's 6'3", he's not in either of our top 10s, but I'll mention him now. Dane Key's a really good guy, but I think you do have to factor it in. So like Dane Key, I'm a little higher on than Brown because I think he's a really good, safe, outside type receiver. So for me, I think you have to factor it in, but it's also one of those things to where like you can only go off what you can go off of. Like if these guys aren't getting targets because their quarterback sucks so bad or they're not getting opportunities to really catch the ball, it's hard to really judge them. So that's my answer. What's your answer on that question from Anthony?
I think it goes into, some of the things we mentioned with players early on this list, not quarterback play per se with like Sturdivant, but like just like the team around him. I love what you said. Yeah. You can only judge them off of what you have available. I think there's a lot of things in a wide receiver's game that I can look at, like regardless of the offensive line, the quarterback, the run game, whatever it may be. How good of a separator are you? How good of a route runner are you? Can you get off press man coverage? Do you have that adequate top end speed? But, the thing that comes down to it after that is, your hands. How good are you in contested catch situations? How good are you X, Y, and Z? Because as you talked about was it Nick Anderson that Owen mentioned, like Dylan Gabriel didn't do him any favors in those contested targets.
So, some of them may not have been, maybe shouldn't have been tracked as actual like contested catches. They just
right. So I think that like ultimately there's a lot of things that the wide receiver themselves, from like my lens, can do to set themselves apart. But you know, there is that like last quarter, that last 25% that if you have shit quarterback play, it does make it tough for you to stand out as a prospect. So a great comment by the man Anthony Russo himself.
Yes, absolutely. Who got, and hey, that's probably my favorite draft podcast. No offense to Mrs. R Relevant, love that one as well. But the NFL Stock Exchange, Anthony Russo got the shout out about his guy, Bryce Lance. So
he's screaming at us right now because we're not talking about him at all.
He's not in their top 10. I know. As I say this now, I feel bad. But he is on my list. And honestly, this guy I hadn't watched till Anthony brought him up. So kind of like those guys talked about. And there's a lot to like there. It is kind of odd that he's at North Dakota State and he's a legacy at North Dakota State.
Those
and he
guys
has the
at
1 year
North
of
Dakota
production.
State,
like
they're so weird. They just like it's like a cult up there, man.
Yeah, it's odd. But yeah, Anthony, man, shout out. You're the man. So your wide receiver 2 was Denzel Boston. My wide receiver 2 is Carnell Tate from the Ohio State University, the defending national champions. I'm a Buckeye fan, sorry. And Crip, I know you're going to call me a homer. But 6'3", 191, reliable hands, 5.5% drop rate, good blocker. That you mentioned that with one of the guys at like was third event. It was 10. You said, good blocker. Maybe that doesn't matter as much, but
it factors in.
A willing blocker, a good blocker. I still respect and love it. And Carnell Tate does that. He was the third option behind Ibuka, and obviously Jeremiah Smith for Ohio State still put up 700 yards. And some of the biggest games, he was the go-to guy. The Texas game, that's who they were funneling the ball to. Yeah, I know there was attention on the other guys, but you still got to step up when your name's called and make plays. And in a big moment to do that, it shows just who he is. He was a highly regarded recruit. Good size, at least height-wise. Maybe he's a little thin. Maybe he could bulk up a little.
Yeah.
But 60% contested catch rate. Hasn't forced many missed tackles so far. Lines up pretty much exclusively on the outside, but I think he could play on the inside if you needed him to. They've just been blessed with some good guys like, Emeka Egbuka in there the last couple of years. So I'm not sure about his top end speed, but this is just a reliable, dependable, good, safe option. And why I have him at 2, probably the same reason I got Jordan Tyson at 1. I feel good about projecting them to at least be a quality number 2 in the NFL at worst.
Absolutely.
For summer scouting. And that is your wide receiver 1. So I'll let you continue the conversation on Carnell Tate.
Yeah, I think you hit it really well. He's not elite at any one thing. I think he's a pretty good separator. I will say that. I think he's a pretty good separator, and I think that the Ohio State wide receiver pedigree really does show. Like, man, as a Badger fan, I hate to admit it, but goddamn,
Brian Hartline deserves his flowers. Like,
it's just like that program knows what they're doing when it comes to like the nitty gritty fundamentals of the wide receiver position. So I think like. Separation. I don't think he separates. Once again, I don't think he separates because he's like a freaky athlete. I think he separates because he's a really smart player. I think he's
smooth.
Probably the smooth. Yeah, he's the smart. He's smooth. He's such a fluid athlete. I'm so glad you said that. Like I have that written down. He is not the best athlete of this group, but he is the smoothest athlete. Everything he does, like he gears up and gears down in just like a seamless transition. Like everything for him, it's no clunkiness. It's just smooth as silk. Like I love that about his game. But like he is so incredibly smart as a wide receiver. And I think that that's like the one trait where I'd say like, hey, he is elite there. But like everything else, I think he's really good at. I don't think he's great or like stellar at him, but I think he's really good at him. I don't think he has a deficiency in his game. I really, really don't. I think he plays above average to really good at every part of the wide receiver position. And for me, it's like how in a class that doesn't have a Jamar, a Marvin, a Malik, like, well, shit, then give me the guy that looks like he knows exactly what the hell he's doing out there, and he does it down in and down out. Like the negatives I've written down for him is like, yeah, sometimes he rounds off his routes. He has had some concentration drops. There was one in that Texas game that should have been a touch. I mean, it hit him,
but not many at all. Like,
no, but then, yeah, that's the thing. His drop rate is 5.5%. Like, you know, we've talked about guys that are like 8, 9, 10, 11%.
Yeah.
5.5%, that's below the NFL league average. So, like, I'll take that all day. It's just like you watch the Texas film and you see it. Like, it's just like, oh, that should have been a touchdown, man. And like, it was so easy. But that's like, you know, there. And then the only other thing I have is completely out of his control. He benefited from the best supporting cast last year, 2 running backs, 1 receiver, 1 quarterback, and 3 offensive linemen drafted. Oh, and plus, he plays in the same team as Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah. And he will again, but Luka's not there. It will be, and I know they always got other guys coming up. Brandon Ennis, you know, is a guy who's made some plays here and there. He's projected to be the slot receiver this year. But it's a big season, like, you know, because if he takes that next, like, let's say he puts up over 1,000 yards. Let's say he just continues being the smooth, reliable weapon that he is. It's hard to say, like, why the hell wouldn't you take this guy in the first round? You know exactly what you're getting. Even if that is a wide receiver 2, it is a dependable quality wide receiver 2.
If Chris Olave is a first-round pick, if Emeka Egbuka is a first-round pick, and I love the Egbuka. Like, I absolutely loved Emeka Egbuka. Ask Owen. I loved Egbuka.
Yeah. Well, Jim had a comment earlier that said it's mandatory to talk about Emeka Egbuka, and I believe that's at least the 10th time he's been brought up now on here. But between both of us, to be fair.
Yeah, no, for sure. But if you know, if and we're picking obviously like Buckeye players, but like, you know, you point to those 2 guys who were they were second. Like, let's be fair, they were second fiddle. Like, Olave was second fiddle to Wilson. Egbuka was second fiddle to
Marvin Harrison, and then
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Jeremiah Smith.
And Jeremiah Smith. And it's just like, this guy, he still comes in and does it. And you see the pedigree. And, like Olave, yes, the concussions have been a concern out of his hands, has been stellar outside of it. Shit, look at JSN. Look what he's done in, like, a quote-unquote, we talked about this earlier, a bad wide receiver class. Like, I got a really tough time betting against Carnell Tate because, man, the guy delivers exactly what you want to see, and he's got that pedigree, and he's not going to blow the top off. He's not going to be, in my opinion, a top 10 pick. But shit, is he, I think, going to be a really good, long NFL wide receiver? Yes.
Yeah, a guy that gets drafted between 15 and 20 to 25 and is just produces immediately, a quarterback's best friend type of player.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Absolutely.
That's what I see for him. My wide receiver 1 was your wide receiver 3 because you hate him. It's Jordan Tyson.
I hate him.
From Arizona State, 6'1", 195. Go watch Kansas State. 12 catches, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, just a dominant performance versus Kansas State, but had a really good season overall. Had 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. Was injured and missed in the playoffs. I mean, they had Texas beat without him, but with him, I think, man, what could they have done? They might have beat my Buckeyes, to be honest, because, like, they were just one of those teams. And he has Sam Levitt again this season. I expect him to have another big season. That's part of this is, like, my expectations for the things that are there for him to succeed. They've got a really good coach, a really good young quarterback. He's a really good player. He's alignment versatile, good body control, ball tracking, really impressive. 3.04 yards per route ran, which was one of the tops. Of the tops, and that is something that translates really well to the NFL. So that's another reason that I'm like, okay, in a class where I feel like I don't know. Now there's my Denzel Boston's that I even have at 6 that I think could be a 1. But for summer scouting wise, why I put him at my 1 is because I'm just like, he has the things I like. And
So good,
assuming
yeah.
he stays healthy, he's going to have another big season. And the production, the stats, the yards per route ran, everything, along with his ball tracking, contested catch ability, everything is like, I really, really like this guy. And maybe he could be a wide receiver one. I feel like maybe he could be, kind of like I said about Denzel Boston, and that's why I also have him there. But at worst, like Carnell Tate, he's a really, really damn good number 2. So that's why he comes in as my.
I killed
wide
Evans
receiver
number 2.
one.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Nah,
Yeah.
I don't know why I just noticed that 3.04 yards per route run is
It's filthy.
stupid.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah. See, now you're moving him up. In his head is moving him up based on that.
If you just catch the ball, like I'd be happy with them.
Yeah, I didn't even have that in my notes about the drops. I'm ignoring that. That's when he's my wide receiver one. I'm ignoring the red flag of the drops new. Okay, let's not bring up the problems. But no, man, what a fun ass show. You still got a few minutes for us to rattle off
Hell
some others,
yeah.
because I mean we're over an hour, but like I feel like wide receivers, we were going to do 15. Good thing we didn't do 15, because we do 10. We do a solid hour when we got 10.
It's an hour
I
content.
have a blast doing this. So next Wednesday, maybe we'll be doing tight ends. Somebody asked that earlier if we had done tight ends, and it was Crypt Keeper,
For sure.
so there was probably a double meaning to that when he asked me that. Damn it, Crypt. You got me. You got me to say that. No, we haven't done tight ends. Also, we've done loose ends. God damn it, Crypt. All right. Anyways, my wide receiver 11, spoiler alert, because we're going through all positions with Bill Sparks. It's his wide receiver 1.
Oh, is it Nick Carver? Or no, Kevin
Kevin
Concepcion.
Concepcion. And I like him. In the draft guide, he's in my top 10. That's where I watched a couple other guys, and, they bumped up and just bumped him slightly down to 11. 5'11", 187, transferred to A&M from NC State. Had like half the production he did his first season. So
that's the biggest thing is like his sophomore season
like,
was
what happened?
such a slump.
It was not good. It was disappointing because he was like a guy that everybody thought was going to take another step and be the man. But he is one of the smoothest separators in the class. So I can understand why Bill would like him, and that's a note I have on him. But contested catches 2 for 6. Just 7 drops. We're talking about drops. That's something with him. Did you have any thoughts on Concepcion? Is that a guy you watched?
He was like you said it. The 7 drops, and it was the thing of the targets. He had like his drop rate was 11.7%.
Yeah,
I tweeted this out earlier this season. Like it feels like there are so many guys that have like an 8+ drop rate. If it was his freshman film, holy shit, would we be talking about this guy as a top 5 pick easy? It's just I don't know what happened last year. So, no, I think you hit the nail on the head. Another guy, 5'11", 187, just in that range.
Yeah, dude, there's so damn many.
There's so many.
Jace Brown, I actually don't have his measurements. Do you? Kansas State.
No, I don't.
Big playability, 17 yards per catch in 2024. It's the only note. Like, I didn't go deep in my notes on here. I think he's in the draft guide. So get a Project Game Day draft guide. $5 minimum donation to Project Game Day. Get you a draft guide and update regularly. You get it from now till draft day. I will update that subject constantly. My next guy is Jaden Greathouse. Just watched the game versus Ohio State and had a ridiculous 84.6 contested catch rate. That's just ridiculous. And I put him and Malachi Fields should be a great duo at wide receiver. You talk about Malachi Fields. Any thoughts on Greathouse?
I haven't got a chance to watch him yet. He's definitely on my radar.
The season overall wasn't like spectacular, you know what I mean? But like as a Buckeye fan, he got on my radar because of that game. And then I watched him.
Because
I was
of
like,
it,
okay, he's pretty good. Yeah. And Riley Leonard, another guy I thought kind of sucked as a quarterback. Just saying.
Riley Leonard's getting shit on at the Bengals and Brews podcast.
Well, I remember being so mad that one guy had him in his top 50, and draft guy Jared, no offense, Bengals fan, but I'm gonna say this anyways. So he was like, "What?" I said, "Riley Leonard, how is he in damn top 50?" This was like, after the season. I'm like, "What the fuck? That's a 6th, 7th round pick." And he said, Well, I trust his opinion more than yours because he used to play quarterback. I think he used to play at Wisconsin, even, this guy. He was a Wisconsin quarterback.
Oh.
Either way, I was like, well, you're fucking wrong for trusting him more than me. Just saying, because in this case, Riley Leonard was inaccurate as fuck. He's a good runner. He's a good leader. He's tough as nails. But
I just looked it up. He
wasn't it.
He was 195 for me last year. So I'll have to agree with you.
Yeah, that's about where I had him, 200. But sorry, that was but great house. That's part of I think CJ Carr will be better than Riley Leonard as a pure passer. At least he has potential to be. DeAndre Moore Jr., Texas, route running, toughness over the middle. Another guy could be 2027. Anything on him?
Nope, nothing on Moore.
Lemon, you already had. We've already covered. Eugene Wilson III, 0 drops in his career for Florida. So J. Michael Sturdivant and him will be a hell of a fun combination there.
That's going to be cool. So Eugene Wilson's 16 for you?
What is it?
He's number 16 for you?
Yeah, 16.
Let me hit mine really quick then. Just so I had Nick Harbor. Where did you have Nick Harbor at?
Let me see how far down I have to scroll. 24.
Oh,
24.
So Nick Harbor.
I mean, the side, oh wow, first guy off the bus. What a freak! What has he done?
Yeah,
it's hard for me to. And I know Bill
it's
Sparks.
The thing.
I don't.
Bill
Sparks
loves
number
him.
2.
Yep. So 6'5", 235. He played tight end, I believe, in high school, and he played defensive end as well, which is where a lot of the edge conversations are coming up from.
Yeah.
The guy's he is the freakiest of freaks. And Bill pointed out, number 1 on Bruce Feldman's freaks list the last 2 seasons. If he figures it out, holy shit, is he going to be amazing? He just hasn't yet. And I struggle to put a guy up there after 2 seasons that he's new to the position. I'll give him that. Played more tight end, played more defensive end in high school, but I don't know. At the end of the day, all the athleticism in the world is amazing, but you got to be a receiver too. So he was 11. Yep. Concepcion was 12 for me. Did you watch Deion Burks? I would assume you did. You always watch more than me.
Yeah. I have him at 27. And I like him. I had him higher, but he just had a down year. And there's a lot of other guys I like more in this class. That's why he fell down to 27. But I still like him, and he's still undersized but competitive at the catch point. Is all I had on him. Thoughts on him?
No. That's pretty much it. He's slot only guy at 5'9", 181, but I really liked him. I still have to update. I got Evan Stewart on here.
He was in my top 10. I moved him down to 19, so he's still in my top 20, and I know he's going to miss the entire season.
I don't see. I mean, he would be a redshirt senior next year. So he's a true senior this year. He's got a torn patella. Is it?
Yeah, torn patellar tendon out for the season projected. So
which sucks because I think that
sucks. Yeah,
I didn't love him in Oregon. I think he's another guy that's he's got a lot of things there. He has yet to produce. But man, the things that he does, he's an athlete. He's fast as shit.
He's fast as fuck. That's it. That's all we got to say about him. Really, you can't quit him because he's fast as fuck. But
he had a 4% drop rate last year. So it's okay. At the end of the day, if you can just run, fade routes down the sideline,
run and catch.
There's a place for you in the NFL. But yeah. So unfortunately for him, it's going to miss this season. I would guess he'll be back, but I have him currently at 14 right now.
Before you continue your list, is Bryce Lance on it? Because I want to get one more of mine. For Anthony, 6'3", 208, redshirt senior, 75 catches, 1,000 yards, younger brother of Trey Lance, good ball skills, smooth route runner, good contested catch guy, doesn't have great top end speed, has a bit of a thin frame, even though he's listed at 208. That's what I had. Did you have Bryce Lance, or who do you have?
I don't have him, so I haven't watched him yet. He's another highlighted guy for me. Here's one fun thing about him that it's FCS, but NFL, so like quarterback passer rating or NFL passer rating when balls are thrown his way, 145. That is stupid good. When the ball is coming his way, 145 quarterback passer rating for that. Like the guy just eats up that competition. And obviously it's FCS competition, but shit, is the guy doing what he needs to do? I'm so excited to put on Bryce Lance's film. I already started like kind of peeking around some things because Anthony is just so excited for me.
I respect that so much when you have such conviction on a player that you were like, no, I believe in this guy. And like everyone else is going to see it. You just haven't yet. And I also need to watch more of him. But I put him at 17 on the list. And there's a lot of guys that I said could be mid-round guys. And I think Bryce Lance is fun. And I want to see it's one of the times I know that North Dakota State's a powerhouse in FCS, but I would have loved to see him go to a school where he was playing better competition week in and week out.
Yeah.
It just would have been
at the end of the day
for guys who evaluate draft stuff. That is a selfish thing, but I still respect the hell out of it when they stay at a school. And I add that as like a bonus, honestly, for loyalty, because that's a rare thing in this day and age of college football. Who do you have next on your list? But we had to get Bryce Lance in, Anthony.
No, you if you want to do the rundown after that, I got a small look at Jonte Cook, but he's got some other issues outside of football.
He's not even on my list because of those. I don't even have him.
He's got some other issues.
I got 41 wide receivers, Newt. 41. He ain't one of them.
Yeah,
I got 99 dollars, but Jonte Cook ain't one. I got 99 receivers.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. So he'll be at Q's. Wasn't he at for like a hot second Oregon or something like that? Washington.
Washington? What? Yeah, it was Washington, and I think it was for like a week, and he got.
It was a week. It was, and it's just like,
I was like,
it was like, all right,
this guy's cooked, but don't.
The only reason he's still on my list is so I can have the little character check mark next to him. Not a guy that I'm really excited about. I would imagine he'll probably live towards the end of my receivers, but he was the last one I got a chance to watch. So
I have no idea.
You spit whoever
out of school. I have no idea if he's out of school. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we'll see. Maybe he just appears somewhere.
He's at Cuse, isn't he? Isn't he at Syracuse?
I have no idea. You could be correct.
I think he's at Syracuse. I think he had that hot stint and whatever.
Okay.
And I think he went to Syracuse after that. But
another guy at Syracuse is my wide receiver 42. I actually have 43. It's Justus Ross Simmons from Colorado State.
That's a player I haven't heard yet.
Yep. What a
give
list.
you a rundown.
I'll
say, I don't got anyone else.
I'm just going to name names and move on. Some of them we've already talked about. So Dane Key, 6'3", transferred to Nebraska from Kentucky. Reliable high floor size. Darian Brown, electric returner, speedster, transferring from Kentucky also. And I skipped Evan Stewart in there. 21, I got Josh Cameron, 6'1", 218, redshirt senior, thick build, strong lower body, one of the best punt returners in the country, and had 754 yards, 10 touchdowns for Baylor. Have you put Josh Cameron on your list? If not, because he wasn't on mine. So I have more notes for him. Generates yak with power, cutting ability, really impressive stiff arm, doesn't have breakaway speed, could be more consistent as a route runner, and dealt with a knee injury for parts of the season. That's the one I have the most notes on, just because he was a late. But Josh Cameron's a guy to watch. Kevin Coleman Jr., some people are higher on. I just put elusive. 26 missed tackles forced. Jeremy Bernard followed Coach DeBoer from Washington, Alabama. Willing blocker, improved each season. So Alabama, I think he'll be on a lot of people's list. Nick Harbor, we already talked about. Malachi Fields, already on your list. Caden Lee, speed, deep ball weapon, Ole Miss. Caden Lee played really well last year. Trey Harris was hurt. He was that deep ball weapon. Deion Burks, we already mentioned. DeJon Stribling transferred to Ole Miss, 17 yards per catch in 2024. Caleb Douglas, 6'4", stays active, makes tough catches. Kyron Hudson, reliable target, transferred to Penn State. Penn State ain't had receivers. They're hoping he could be one. Another USC guy, by the way.
Is that five now?
That's five. Yeah. Sturdivant, I had at 31. You mentioned Deuce Robinson, had him at 32. I put may end up at tight end. He's 6'6". He's just big. Like, it's hard for guys. There was another Florida State guy that was 6'7" that went to the Eagles, blanking on his name, but
Wilson,
like, he's
Johnny
got
Wilson.
Yes, he's got to end up as a tight. It's just hard for me to be like, you're going to be it's just tough. Hudson Clement, former walk-on at West Virginia, transferred to Illinois. Illinois, surprise, Big Ten team. C.J. Daniels, 4 years at Liberty, 1 at LSU, now at Miami, Florida with Carson Beck. Good fucking luck, because Carson Beck sucked last year. Another guy I will say sucked, but it's got good speed ball tracking. Dylan Bell.
Shitting all over these quarterbacks.
Shitting on him. Dylan Bell, drop issues, good blocker. Dylan Bell's very versatile. We covered him in the Georgia episode. Chris Bazell, the second explosive 6'5" wide receiver for Tennessee. Everyone thought he was going to be the man last year. He was not the man. Can he be the man this year? I think he was originally at Tulane. No, Rogers, originally at Ohio State, transferred to NC State. High pointing size. Dude is big. He's got a chance to be good. Jared Brown did jack shit for South Carolina, but he was good at Coastal Carolina. We'll see if he can do more than jack shit at South Carolina this season. And he's 5'11". I'm just going to guess. I don't have the weight, but I'm going to guess 190.
He's probably 190 pounds.
He's probably 190 pounds, dude. Colin Lacey, older prospect. Where was he at? South Alabama, and then last year he was at Louisville. He was injured for parts of the season. But Chris Bell Jr., who was number 9 on my list, I like a lot more. But Colin Lacey, maybe he can have a good season for them. Jamori Macklin, Kentucky, transferred from I don't have these written down, so I'm trying to remember them off my head. Texas State, maybe? It's like a small school. And Kentucky last year didn't necessarily do a lot, but once again, it's because Brock Vandagriff sucked dicks. Brock Vandagriff sucked ass for Kentucky. This is the rundown people came for. And a guy who transferred to Kentucky, Kendrick Law, from Alabama, limited production, hasn't done a lot, but was a highly regarded recruit. And London Humphreys, Georgia, good route runner, might be wide receiver 5 for them, though, so I don't know how many opportunities he'll get. So that's the names. That's the rundown. Longest episode we've done of this crew. Shit. This is a lot. And then you got Eric Rivers, Junior Vander Ross, Vinny Anthony, Jaleel Farouk, Tyler Brown, Eric McAllister, Jeff Caldwell, Ted Hurst. Just the list are ridiculous for wide receiver.
Love it.
Ridiculous.
Love it. That's good stuff, man. I mean, the rundown is what people should live for, truth be told. It's where quarterbacks are catching strays and
right. Right. Just hating on all the quarterbacks.
We're running down guys' legal history.
This guy's a piece of shit as a human. This guy couldn't hit a fucking barn with a fucking bazooka.
Oh my God.
Good God. What? What?
Love it.
But yeah. All right, guys. Appreciate anybody that tuned in. Maybe we'll be back next Wednesday at 4:00 again, because this is fun. If you missed the quarterback, running back episodes, those are on Bengals and Brews, man. It's good stuff. But I really enjoy doing this. Give Newt a follow. Newt, tell him where to follow. You can see the @ but also tell them about your website and everything else you got.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So you see the @ NFL Draft _Weston on Twitter. Fairly active over there, giving my thoughts. I also run ZeroTechDraft.com. That's where I have all of the episodes that I've been doing on the Weekly Huddle for my positional rankings that I'm then talking about with Dale. I also have my prospect grades open to anyone who wants to see it. So if you want to see my notes, if you want to see all the information I've compiled, that is linked on ZeroTechDraft.com as well. Right in the top header, go ahead and click on it, check it out. More than happy to kind of answer questions and go forward from there with any of the players I have or the way that I do things. So as always, appreciate and love being on this podcast.
I love
with
it.
Dale. It's so much fun talking draft prospects at this early point of the draft cycle.
I love it. No offense to Chop, Greg, Derek, the Bengals and Brews stuff, but man, it's the summer. There's not a lot of Bengals to talk, and this shit gets me excited. I think you guys can tell. Like, I get so hyped for these shows. I have so much fun doing these shows with Newt. Gonna do one Sunday with Bill Sparks, and he's a Browns fan. I'm gonna do a show with the Browns fan. Bill is fantastic when it comes to draft stuff. Newt's a Packers fan, and I hope to have some of these guys on when the Bengals play. So like some fun shows, during the season of like, hey, this is the Packers versus Bengals matchup. Let's break down the game. It's awesome, man. And I'm very thankful to have got to meet guys like you. And I give a lot of credit to Jim Wickens, NFL draft professor, draft fanatic, Mrs. Our Relevant podcast, because I love Jim. Jim's came there when we did a live show for Bengals and Brews at Midwest. He's a great dude. But also I've got to meet great people like Newt, Owen, just David, everybody I do the Monday shows with, people that are guests on there that watch other schools, and then Newt, just everybody, man. And I'm very thankful, and it's fun. And I appreciate anybody that tunes into this nonsense. But Newt, thank you so much for your time, brother. Going to end this one.
Absolutely.
And